Okay, so I'm going to go through a few of the steps on how to reference in all of your files that you've been working on into one main scene. First things first, I'm going to set my project to that Wizards Room folder that I've been working in. And then what I'm going to do is go to something called the reference editor. So you can do a create reference or you can go to reference editor. So I'm going to click the reference editor. And this is sort of a little viewport there where you can see all of the files that are imported into your scene or referenced into your scene. You can also import them through this editor. So I'm going to go to File and Create Reference. Since I've set my project to this folder, it automatically goes to the Scenes folder. And what I want to do is select the files that I want to reference in. So this first one, I'm going to do Artwork. And you'll see it brings in whatever's in that file. Now, any history you've got on that model, any names or junk you've got in your file, it's going to show up in here. So it's best to work with clean files. I haven't cleaned up my files yet, so mine are going to be a little dirty. But you can always do this step and then go back and clean up your other files. So I'm going to continue adding these models to my reference editor. Okay, so I'm going to close the or minimize the reference editor for now. And it looks like my window file might have a chair referenced into it. So I can try and remove that from here, but I may need to actually go into the actual file. But let's minimize this and look and see what it's given us. So it's pretty easy to see the chair because that's probably the biggest asset in the scene. There's the telescope. And it looks like I've got a few different groups on my telescope. So you can actually group this in this file if you need to, but otherwise I'd say you may want to do it in your base file. Okay, got a base, and as you can see, my main scene with my windows and everything is actually pretty small. So these objects are all different sizes. Okay, so once you've got everything moved away from the center, you can either scale them within this scene or you can go back and try and keep them in a uniform scale in your other scenes. But again, it's fine to do it in this scene. I'm going to select that main room area and I'm going to do a modify center pivot. And I need to group this before I scale it. And then I'll do another modify center pivot. All right, and now I want to scale up the individual meshes. Okay, so I've got a lot of my models in the scene. I need to still go through and position them kind of where they are in the concept. Now, if you need to set up shaders here in your scene, you'll notice that some of these are red, and that means they're referenced into the current scene. So if you have shaders other than your base Lambert, then you may want to come in here and create some new ones for all of these models. Now, the benefit of having files referenced into your main file versus importing them in is that you can make changes to the original files, and any changes you save will propagate down into this file. And you can also load or unload certain files depending on what you want your scene to look like. But once you've cleaned up all of these files and you're ready to bring them all into one file, you can do that by going into the reference editor, right-clicking on one of them, and then going to File and Import Objects from Reference. And when you do that, it's going to remove these little blue icons, and you'll actually be able to make edits to the models.